Well, hey, I am real excited to be here today and introduce Jeff Stinson, Stinson Law Firm. So, Jeff, and full disclosure, you were my first introduction to the elder law world because my son sent me to you to help me with a family member. So, and opened my eyes to what that world's all about. But why don't you tell other people what Stinson Law Firm is and who you are and what goes on?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim. Well, it's usually easiest for me to kind of explain who I am and what I do by talking about the folks that I serve. Most often, we're working with family members who have a loved one in need of some sort of long-term care, kind of like yourself. So in those situations, we're working to help those individuals access long-term care without being completely destitute. We have a variety of robust public benefits programs to help pay for long-term care. But the key is to kind of know what these programs are, know what the rules are, and fit within their eligibility criteria. So for example, Medicaid is one program that helps many, many folks with nursing, for everything from nursing home care to home care. And why there are asset and income limits to being eligible for those programs, you don't have to be completely impoverished to get there. You just have to have a legal plan in place, which typically involves either investing in things that are exempt under the program or setting assets aside to be held by family members. That's kind of the primary folks that we serve. And so we're usually, our end goal is always helping somebody afford long-term care. We may do that through tools we might use along there is some estate planning like wills and trusts and so on. But the end result is always, how can we avoid or reduce someone having to pay, which according to Genworth just this past week is upwards of almost $100,000 a year in care in the state of Indiana. So that's what we're doing. We work with a lot of folks who also just want to do some estate planning, but are concerned about what do those costs of long-term care look like in the future. So through their estate planning, we're doing a lot of things like trusts or LLCs or other mechanisms to help protect those assets so that those won't be ate up by the cost of long-term care in the future. As a side note, those are things that are somewhat close to my heart because I'm a third generation, family farmer. Actually, no, fourth generation of a family farmer. And, you know, I certainly don't want to see that family farm being sold to pay for care for a family. I like to keep it in the family. And anything I can do to help farmers or small businessmen like my dad and my family, that's just downright one of my favorite things to do. So it's another thing, another kind of piece there that we work on. As a side note, outside of the senior area, I work with a lot of families who have children with special needs. So we do a lot of planning for what happens when mom or dad are unable to take care of their child and having plans in place, a team in place to take care of those functions. Work with a lot of disabled individuals have received a windfall either through a settlement or some other avenue and help protecting those from the cost of their care and so on. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the past, I started as a paralegal in this area about 22 years ago, been a practicing attorney for almost 20 years at this point. Enjoy every moment of it. It was a real blessing for me to get to find this area of law and haven't looked back. Particularly the last 8 years has been a great 8 years. I've started my own office about 8 years ago and it's been great. So that's kind of my firm in a nutshell. And, you know, just a couple other things about me. I am a certified elder law attorney, which means I essentially can advertise as a specialist in this area because I've been tested, peer reviewed, and I have to recertify every 5 years. So the National Elder Law Foundation has certified me as an elder law attorney.
Well, excellent. Well, I will tell you that, I know myself when I came into your office the first time, I had no idea what an elder law attorney was. My family hadn't gotten in any kind of legal trouble, so I really wasn't sure what I needed you for. But, but it was amazing to learn because in our case, we worked with like a VA thing and I know I tried to do DIY it with my father-in-law, and it was a nightmare for 18 months to get through it. And you breeze through it for my uncle. So that was real eye-opening to me. Okay. And the same thing from what I understand, dealing with, trying to asset protection so that someone's not destitute. I know that my in-laws, we took bad advice from a senior living community that told us that we had to burn off all their assets before we could get any kind of help. And we did what we were told to do. And we ended up having to pay for 2 funerals out of pocket. We were, it was stupid stuff, but it was because we were told things that were not in our best interest. Those are the worlds that you protect people in. Is that correct?
It is. You bring a nice point there. At over 20 years of doing this, it still just shocks me the amount of misinformation that floats around out there. I've done a series of videos and speaker series in the past on the myths of Medicaid, and a lot of those they're straight from my clients' mouths. They're going to take my house. No one's taking your house. I have to be completely destitute have to burn everything off in order to qualify. That's where the trenches I'm in, and my hope is to try to get as much information out to folks that's accurate, so that they know that they don't have to burn everything off in order to
get a divorce or
get a divorce. Yeah, that is a pet peeve of mine. Yeah, yeah. I've heard that many times too. Not true. In fact, we can typically have better planning options for a married couple than a divorced couple. So,
well, I appreciate that, because I should say that was something I don't think people necessarily know, really all the benefits that can come from that, and this trying to keep up with all the minutia of changes that happen every year. It's impossible unless that's all you do, so. So tell me, how I'm out there and I've got a family member that I need help with, or I'm looking for help myself. What's it like giving me a call to you? I mean, what's my experience going to be like? I mean, it's a scary thing. I'm calling this attorney. What are you going to do? So tell me how that's going to feel when I walk through that process.
Yeah, it always amazes me. I don't see myself as coming off as intimidating, but I know that a lot of calls, as you say, it's for a lot of folks, it's the first time they've ever had to call an attorney. So that can be very intimidating. So we do the best we can to take a lot of that anxiety out of the process. Typically, it starts with a call or an email to my office, which connects you to my intake paralegal, who's been with me for 5 years now. She's very knowledgeable, but also very, very nice and easy to talk to. And she'll walk you through our intake process. And what that process is it starts with some information gathering. She's going to gather some information, and she's also going to send you a questionnaire, which I know can be tedious at times, but giving me all the information I need to diagnose the problem is important. So that's why we gather that information. That's why we send it out. Once we have that questionnaire, or usually in that initial call, we'll set an initial consultation where I will be meeting with you. What I prefer is to get that questionnaire ahead of time, because that allows me to identify issues long before you get to my office or connect with me, so we can focus on the client's goals and the client's concerns. Then I can sprinkle those things in as we go, but I want to spend most of my time together kind of focusing on the client's concerns, with the goal of, at the end of that first meeting together, we've outlined a plan of action. So we know what we're going to do, and we know what the outcome is going to be. So that's kind of the start there right now. I do charge a flat fee for that process, but that fee I apply to the project price. So if you hire me to help obtain Medicaid benefits or VA pension benefits or estate planning, that fee is just applied to the project price as we get started.
Okay. Well, now I know that when we worked with you with my uncle, he never has been in your office. You always would come and meet him at his apartment or what have you. So is that a normal situation, or is that something that you do, or how does that work?
So we always prefer to see folks in the office. It's more economical to the client. However, When I say see folks in the office, we probably haven't seen very many people in our office physically in a while. You know, there are some occasions that require, if you have to sign documents with me, you'll need to be in the office. But a lot of times our first meeting has been occurring over what we're doing now, a Zoom conference. And that's worked out well. I'm kind of missing the physical interaction with folks, and I look forward to the day that we can safely do that again. But I'm not going to eliminate some of these virtual meetings. So I'm going to leave that open as an option for folks in the future. If they want it, it'll be available to them. So.
Well, very good. Well, now, so tell me this. Who are you when you're not in the office being a lawyer? So tell me about your life. Who are you?
Well, first and foremost, I enjoy playing guitar. So I spend a lot of time practicing guitar. Someday I have a goal of maybe getting in a coffee shop or two and just playing around a bit. I don't have any illusions that I'll be the next Joe Perry or Keith Richards or anything like that, but love to do something like that. Got two younger kids. I say younger, the one's 13 now and the other's 12. So they keep me busy between music lessons and baseball lessons and so on. And then, you know, I'm also a Freemason. So I on occasion, I still am able to get to the lodge, which is how I know your son, Mike. It's where we were introduced to each other several years ago.
Well, very good. Well, Jeff, I really enjoyed this conversation. I think that now, if anyone's going, gosh, I'd like to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
So both my phone number is 317-622-8181, or website is stinsonlawfirm.com. If you can't remember the number, if you remember stinsonlawfirm.com, all my information will be on there. Also, my information is on lifescopilot.com.
Perfect. Hey, well, thank you very much. I enjoyed it. So we will talk soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Jim.